What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Jets Report. I'm your host, Patrick Siepman. And coming up on today's show, we got some very exciting news for you Jets fans as Quincy Williams was talking about Aaron Glenn and actually his relationship with CJ Mosley. This is a very fun show, so stay tuned throughout this entire thing. But before we dive into it, I want to clap it up for all the real ones that hit that subscribe button yesterday. We picked up over 137 subscribers, so shout out to all of you guys that hit that sub button. But the Packers Report, they picked up over 100 subs yesterday as well. So we are still in this sub battle versus the Packers Report. And if you guys want to help us beat them to 7,000 subscribers, please help us out. Hit that subscribe button today. Their host, Joey Peterson, is talking all types of noise right now. And, for right reason. They're on our heels. So if you guys want to help us extend our lead here at the Jets Report, hit that subscribe button today. All right, let's break it down. Quincy Williams was talking about Aaron Glenn and just really the relationship they're already starting to build, which is, pretty cool stuff because I view Quincy as one of the leaders of this defense, and Aaron Glenn is clearly viewing him as just that. But also Aaron Glenn thinks Quincy Williams could get a whole lot better. Now, first specifically about what Quincy had to say on AG, saying this. Coach challenged me in the beginning. When he first got the job, he gave me a call. We had an hour-and-a-half conversation just on his vision and also me getting his vision to the players and stuff so we are all on the same page. And then he challenged me with a couple of things to work on this offseason and then to show it during the season. Now, I absolutely love this from, both sides, like Quincy Williams and Aaron Glenn. But specifically Glenn here, viewing a player like Quincy Williams who has been very successful so far in his NFL career, but he probably dove into the tape and he said, all right, we're going to get you better at this. We're going to get you better at this. And we're just going to hopefully get you to an all-pro level this upcoming season. But also, I love the fact that they had an hour-and-a-half conversation right after he got the job. Like, relationships matter so much in the NFL. And when you have a head coach that you really just want to play for, those guys are more motivated, especially when it's at like OTAs, training camp, where some days you're just like, man, do I really need to be here? But when you have a guy that you can get bought into, it definitely does help. And, just take your own job, for example. Whoever your boss is, if you respect them and you clearly know that they care about you, you're going to want to go work hard for that guy. And I think the same thing is happening here with the New York Jets. And Aaron Glenn, he talked about Quincy Williams after practice one day this week saying, I told Quincy when he first came in and met with me, some things I want him to work on. And he is doing everything he can to get better at those things. I don't lie to players, and he's a good player. But there are also some things he's got to get better at, and he understands that. And that just goes to show you a sign of a really good player. In this league, even the best players get criticized, but they want to be too because they want to be better. And he's one of those guys that wants to be better. And Aaron Glenn is a head coach. He's just checking every box for me. Like everything I would want in terms of what I envisioned when the Jets started this head coaching search, way back at the beginning of the offseason. Aaron Glenn's that perfect guy. I wanted somebody who was going to come in here, set a culture, and just get rid of that Aaron Rodgers and Robert Saleh stench that was within the organization the past couple of years. And also, I love the part where Glenn was just kind of explaining that, like, yeah, even the best players in this league, they get criticized. Even those guys, they can get better at certain aspects of the game. It's just the typical mindset of like getting 1% better each day and just stacking good days after good days after good days. And hopefully you get to the season and you have a damn good result. And, for a guy like Quincy Williams, who's going to be a big focal point of this defense upcoming year, I love that Aaron Glenn is kind of taking him under his wing heading into the season. But speaking of Aaron Glenn, I was looking at the Coach of the Year odds here. And he's actually 9th on this list. Now, a lot of these are, the new head coaches, first-year guys, or guys that haven't won this award that maybe deserve to, like a Matt LaFleur, for example, and also Andy Reid. He has the worst odds to win Coach of the Year, even though he is still the best coach in the National Football League. But Mike Vrabel, plus 600, same with Ben Johnson. Then you get to like the Liam Coen, Sean Payton, Pete Carroll, LaFleur, Harbaugh, Dave Canales. But then you got Aaron Glenn right there, plus 1,800. I'll tell you what, for all the gambling folks watching today's show, I don't hate those odds. Like if the Jets somehow get the 7th seed in the AFC, and maybe they have a 9-8, 10-7 season, but they land that spot, I could very well see Aaron Glenn winning that award. Like, the Vikings last year, heading into the season, they were supposed to win 6.5 games. That's what Vegas had their over-under at. Well, right now, they got it at 5.5 for the Jets. If they double that up and get the 10 wins, which I think is definitely on the table, especially if you think this defense can get back to a top 10 unit and you think offensively with, Mason Taylor in the fold and improved, hopefully healthier offensive line, it wouldn't shock me that this team could win 10 games and Aaron Glenn could go win Coach of the Year. But plus 1,800, I love those odds. And I want to ask you guys this. Producer Dylan and I, maybe me and him go $50 a pop to place a bet on Aaron Glenn to win Coach of the Year. Pay out $1,800. We each get $900 each. I don't hate that idea, but we need your advice. Should producer Dylan and I bet on Aaron Glenn to win Coach of the Year? Give me a Y for yes. Give me an N for no. You guys let me know your thoughts down below in the comments section. All right, let's talk about Quincy Williams a little more here. And CJ Mosley, obviously not with the Jets, still a free agent out there, but apparently still in the New Jersey area. And Quincy allegedly reached out to him on some leadership advice, which CJ Mosley, still one of the better leaders in a locker room in the NFL. But this is what Quincy had to say. CJ came to my camp this weekend, so we had a conversation. Also, he's still in New Jersey, so we grabbed lunch a couple of times. Right now, it's the mindset of picking his brain on how to be more of a leader. When he came to the Jets, a new team, he actually sat out a year. So it was like, what are the things that you worked on to a team that you didn't really know? How did you become a leader to those guys? And I would have loved to know CJ Mosley's answer for those questions, but I love this out of Quincy because maybe some self-awareness and some self-reflection here where maybe he has felt he hasn't been the best leader over the last couple of years, but he's reaching out to a guy, a veteran who has been that for multiple teams in his NFL career. I like just having Mosley in his ear, especially at the linebacker position. Like, I still think even if the linebacker on your team maybe is not the best player defensively, I still feel like they're the leader because those are guys wearing the green dots. They're the quarterback of the defense. And when you have a guy like Quincy Williams, clearly a hard worker, maybe there's just little things in terms of building relationships where he's picking Mosley's brain on how he can take that next step. And there's no doubt the Jets last season, they lacked leadership. I think that was probably the biggest reason the Jets were not a successful team is because there's no accountability. And I think that starts with leadership. And, maybe saying, does leadership really matter? I think it does. Off the field impact matters in the NFL. When you have these guys building relationships with each other, whether that's, playing, ping pong in the locker room or just going out, grabbing a bite to eat, those off the field relationships, that just matters a lot. And having a guy like Quincy Williams, obviously he has a great relationship with Quinnen Williams, but maybe he needs to get tighter with the new safety, Andre Sisco, or maybe him and Sherwood need to build a relationship a little more. I do think that plays a big-time impact in terms of just, team building in the NFL. And, I know a lot of love has been thrown out there on, Justin Fields, this new and improved offensive line. And listen, I'm excited to see the Jets offense next season, but their identity will be on the defensive side of the field. The Jets will have an old-school Jets feel to them where it's like, hey, we're going to be one of the best running teams in the NFL. And also defensively, hopefully we're turning the ball over or forcing turnovers. Hopefully we're getting after the quarterback and we're sticky in coverage. And I think that lands on some of the blue chippers defensively because it's a prove-it year for the blue chippers. And even a guy like Quincy Williams, this is going to be a big year for him because there really is no excuse for those guys. And specifically two guys that are two of the best in the league at their respective positions, Sauce Gardner and Quinnen Williams. There's no excuse for them. I think both those guys are, Sauce is the top 5 corner. I think Quinnen's the top 5 defensive tackle, but they both have the natural talent and the natural athletic ability to be the best at those positions. Could you imagine if we're talking about this team heading in the, not this upcoming season, but the year after, and it's okay, the Jets have the best corner in the league. They got the best defensive tackle in the league. Both those guys are hitting their prime, and maybe they both take a step up as a leader on this team. I just think they got no excuses. You got Aaron Glenn. You got Steve Wilks. You have good players around you. So specifically Sauce Gardner and Quinnen Williams. Hopefully they have big-time years and, get back to being top in the league at those positions. But if you guys made it to the end of today's show, hit me with the Go Jets down below in the comment section. Also, please, 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 please hit that subscribe button on your way out. See y'all next time. As always, Go Jets.